Welcome to Formosa Dream Chasers.
We're your hosts, Mary Ann
and Qing-en.
Please join us as we explore the journeys amazing people take in pursuit of their dreams.
And get insights from their experiences.
Let's hit the road.
And get started.
Hello and welcome back to Formosa Dream Chasers. This week, we continue our conversation with our dear colleague and social media influencer, Tristan Hilderbrand, as she delves into Taiwanese language and culture. Tristan also shares her insights into video production with us.
I remember when you first came to RTI, we used to go on a project that we interviewed people on the street about a protest outside the legislature.
Yes.
And I noticed that a lot of people recognized you because of your Taiwanese song cover.
Yes.
Yeah, so I wonder how you started covering Taiwanese songs and what's your relationship with Taiwanese language?
Actually, when I was in Ilan, I'm going to go way back, but I feel like it's important to mention. When I was in Ilan, I think almost all of my host families, I had 4 in total, they would speak Taiwanese to each other, and then they would speak in Mandarin to their kids. And their kids didn't speak Taiwanese. So when I asked them about it, because they had mentioned it to me, can you tell that these are different languages? Honestly, first week in Taiwan, could not tell the difference. And after a while, I did start to notice. I asked them, so why don't you speak the same language as your parents? And what they told me was very surprising. We're talking about a very well-educated young woman who is very, I would say, graceful and elegant and usually very careful with her words. And she told me because Taiwanese is a very low-class language. And it's for like the farmers, the old people, and the uneducated. So to me, I was thinking, Oh, I didn't know there was such a language. Languages are usually not like low class, right? It's just a form of communication. And I asked a couple of my friends at school, and they backed that up. People around my age, they were saying, yeah, it's only spoken by like old guys and maybe some old women. But like if you want to sound good, then you shouldn't speak Taiwanese. Like, don't bother learning it, right? Because only the old people speak it. We don't even speak it. So that was my first impression of Taiwanese, was people telling me not to learn it and that it's a gross language, right? Unfortunately. And I made some other friends about 5 years ago. They're from Geelong. They all speak in Taiwanese and they like singing songs in Taiwanese. So when we'd go to KTV and sing together, they would sing these songs. And I heard Huang Yiling's Song of Life, 你接过, and I was like, wow, I have no idea what she's singing about, but somehow I understand. And I asked my friend, they're like, oh, you're interested in this song? Yeah. And I learned from a friend how to sing it. I put headphones in. I was like, yeah, let me try to learn how to sing this song so I can sing it when I go to KTV because it's so beautiful. It was just this one song that really appealed me, and learning it, I realized, wow, this really isn't bad language. And I ended up honestly meeting Taigi, who speaks Taiwanese fluently. He's a foreigner and he speaks Taiwanese fluently, and he refuses to speak Mandarin. He only speaks English or Taiwanese, even though he's fluent in Mandarin too.
Like to all the people he meets in Taiwan?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, if they can't speak Taiwanese, he'll try to make them. And if they still can't, then he'll speak to them in English. It's very interesting. And he dispelled all of these myths. And I learned all about the history of Taiwanese and why kids nowadays think that it's this kind of language or think that there's no written language behind it. That made me love the language more because I felt like people need to know. If all of my classmates and all of my host families in Taiwan or in Ilan didn't know about this, then I feel like I need to be telling people and emphasizing the history behind it, especially if there are other foreigners who show up in Taiwan and they hear the same thing. We need to shut that down. Does that answer your question?
Yes. And I also watch your videos on YouTube, and I noticed that in every event that you attended, at the end of the video, you'll mention they don't have any Taiwanese content inside. One time you went to a music festival, the whole lineup of the artists and songs, they don't sing Taiwanese songs at all. Or just very few, like 1 or 2, like Paisei, Saonian, Sorry Youth. Yeah, and I think that's something that I feel impressed about. A foreigner telling you need to speak Taiwanese more frequently.
Yeah. Honestly, I think linguistically it is, I don't know why. I can't tell you the reason behind it, but I feel like it's easier to convey emotions when singing in Taiwanese than it is in Mandarin.
I think I have the same feeling as a native speaker of Taiwanese.
Yeah.
I can't relate because I'm not fluent in Taigi. So I'm wondering, did you actually study it as a formal language, or more of like you picked it up through singing these songs?
Yes, learning through the lyrics mostly, because I passed up on an opportunity to learn it at my language program. I could have taken classes in Taiwanese, but in my mind I was thinking, low-class language. I don't need to learn this because you can just learn Mandarin. So I passed up on the opportunity, and now I'm trying to catch up. I'm so busy. Otherwise, I wish I could take Taiwanese classes. All I do is learn through the lyrics.
But it's still quite an impressive feat to learn a language through song. I don't think it's easy.
It makes it a lot more fun, but it is harder to learn the tones.
Yeah, I would. I have a hard time right now with Mandarin tones, and I hear that the Taiwanese language has a lot more than 4.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Since you mentioned that you are a social media influencer and that you also incorporate singing as part of the videos that you make, I'm wondering, like, how do you balance your public persona and private life?
Ooh, persona.
I mean, because you've been doing social media for a long time. It sounded like you wanted to share a lot of your experiences through social media. And when you first started, did you differentiate or think about like, okay, I gotta like divide my private life to my public life or to the public persona that I'm presenting? Or did you go through any kind of thoughts along those lines?
I think personally, being a creator, I feel like this phrase is very relevant. You are what you eat. Usually that means physically what you eat, but in the sense of content, whatever content I consume is the content that I produce. So, for example, when I was just starting out or just before I was starting out, I loved watching YouTube videos of people who are very real and down to earth. They weren't pretending like their life was all magic and butterflies. They were showing, hey, today I broke down in tears because somebody said something rude to me on the bus. But the next video, I had the best day ever and I had this amazing time going to this one place, and it was so real, and it made me feel like my emotions and experiences were valid. And it made me feel like if somebody who I respect can go through these ups and downs and have all these different challenges, whether that be with their friends, their family, their relationships, whatever, then I can have that too. And that doesn't make me less of a person. So I think the validation in seeing that made me want to be a creator that almost withholds nothing. So except for the bare minimum of maybe where I live,
Okay.
or anything too, I don't know, frisky. Like, I don't want to share anything that personal.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I hope that all of my ups and downs can be there for the world to see. And I almost don't want any personal life separation beyond I hope that nobody shows up in my apartment. Early on, I bought pepper spray, I think twice. One time, I think it was given to me, and the other time I bought it myself just because I had concerns. But that was early on, and I think I've been very lucky in the group of people that I've attracted. Like, what's very interesting is when we went to that, what is it called? Protest. The protest. And proportionately, a lot more people who recognized me were there than if I were at a different event, like a music festival. Honestly, you would think that people at a music festival would have listened to somebody who sings, right? But I don't think anybody recognized me at the music festival, whereas dozens of people recognized me at the protest. I think the group of people that I have, attracted, they are very amazing, good people, genuinely good people. So that hasn't happened yet, and I think that's partly why.
We have seen some creators share their growth on social media and where it has taken them. Like, for example, the Try Guys. They started out with BuzzFeed and then sharing their content, and now they have their own company and all that. where would you say you are at now, and how I mean, to what level do you want to become as an influencer, and what is your ultimate goal?
Ultimate goal, that's kind of hard. Obviously, like I said, I have a lot of interests, so singing is definitely one of them, and I do want to make my own music and release my own music, have my own events, concerts. I want to do it with other artists. I don't want to be alone all the time. That would be nice. And that is an end goal. But as to where I am at right now, I think that's harder, especially because when you think of social media and numbers, there is no limit, right? So if you're at the top of your game, even if you're the number one most subscribed YouTube channel, you could lose that if you don't keep it and constantly find new content and find ways to keep people interested. And if you're not the top number one, then the rest of you're just not as good. So there's never really a point at which you are successful, if that makes sense. Well, what defines success, especially in this industry? If I release music and I get a Grammy, what's that in Taiwan? Golden Music Awards?
Yeah.
Yeah. If I get that, then am I successful? But what if nobody listens to my music, right? So what if nobody watches my videos anymore? So what defines success? It's so hard to finally feel like I'm comfortable and I'm successful, so I can be happy. It's always like chasing down, I need more numbers, I need higher numbers. Somebody is outracing me, somebody's running faster than me, they're gaining more subscribers than me. I have to keep it up. I have to do something different. I have to do something crazy, and it is very mentally taxing.
So is that a concern of yours, a constant concern, like chasing after these numbers, or you're worried? Oh, it is. Okay. And you're worried that you lose followers, subscribers if you don't push out content all the time.
Absolutely.
Oh, wow. Okay. So then, because we're not in the same industry as you, given that thinking, for you, how would you define success for you? You've mentioned getting recognition, like getting a Golden Melody Award or being the top of the game in like the social media creator industry. Do you have your own personal definition of success then? Or is it still more like an ongoing process?
Yes, it is an ongoing process, but also I feel like no matter how you break it down, success will always come down to numbers. So whether that's how many people bought an album, or how many awards you got, or how many people are subscribed to you, how many less subscribers you have, or less views you have compared to however long ago, it's always going to come down to numbers. I think if I can constantly keep up a good, decent group of people who will watch my videos and listen to any music I make, and if I can win a couple of awards, then I'll feel like, yeah, maybe I've been successful. Maybe. But it's so hard to define. So I think I've readjusted my mindset into how can I make myself happy and how can I enjoy what I do and not losing the original intention of me making videos, which I guess if you kind of look into what I've made is also, I think, very positive. I want to make a positive impact in the world. And so I do a lot about animals, whether that be campus dogs or leopard cats. I have talked about homelessness in Taiwan and different systems that are in place to help them. I want to talk more about the things that people don't talk about or that need some more attention or education on. So I want to keep making a positive impact. If I can make a positive impact in the world, then I think I will be successful.
Because you have to produce at least one video every week. Have you ever experienced any like laziness or negative emotions? How do you push yourself forward when you feel exhausted?
It's been a huge struggle, honestly, to keep up the content, especially because I think my content editing style takes a lot of effort, and putting together a very well-rounded script or a video related to an important topic, it takes so much time. So it is extremely hard to keep that up every week. And for example, last week there was one day that I only slept 2 hours, and then the next day I slept 1 hour, But I was back at work. I was at work on time. I even had to go to the gym because my trainer said I couldn't skip out on personal training. So it's trying to find that balance that is impossible. The balance I have not yet found. And it is a driving force. I think the fear of failure is probably what keeps me going.
So what I wanted to ask though, in terms of context, because you said it takes a lot of time, and being in a different industry, what amount of time are we talking about? Like from the time of pre-production to production to the post-production, like this whole process, how much time does it normally take?
Let's just say pre-production takes maybe 5 hours. We're talking coming up with the idea and contacting the relevant people, making sure the dates are okay, communicating any little details with them, putting together an outline so they can confirm it, or if there's anything that I need to put together and like script wise, 5 hours, let's say. Then shooting wise, we usually wrap up within 1 to 3 hours. And post-production is where 99% of my time is spent, and that's editing. Honestly, at least 30 hours per video. If I did a video that was very relaxed, it was very short, then maybe I could do it in 30 hours. Otherwise, anything I do is going to be spending more than 30 hours producing. So At that point, it's kind of like a full-time job.
That gives us context then. And do you have a team to help you with these things, or is it more of you're doing everything by yourself?
I did have a team at one point. I still have an agency, but they mostly pass on cases to me that they think would work out, but I still have to make my own outlines. I have to shoot it myself, edit it myself, etc. I did have a team at one point, which I thought would solve all my problems. I can spend less time doing things, right? And it only caused more problems.
Oh.
So I think as a creator, especially being myself, I want all my videos to represent me, which means I have to be part of every single part of the process. I can't just be somebody who shows up for filming and then goes home. That would be nice, but unfortunately, editing, it really brings character and perspective to videos, so you can't just let anybody handle it.
Without a team, you can do everything by yourself.
Yeah.
Did that give you more autonomy to decide what topics to produce?
You mean right now?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. If I wanted to make a hit piece on the president of Taiwan, they would say, okay, good luck. Yeah, if I wanted to, I don't know, whatever I want to do there, unless it's illegal, they'd probably tell me, Tristan, you better not. Otherwise, they are very supportive. And usually they do give some ideas. I think surface level ideas like, oh, well, Tristan, you had a video where you talked about XYZ. There's another related topic that maybe you can cover. And beyond that, they don't really guide it the direction of the channel. And then they communicate with potential sponsors or large organizations like government entities, because those are complicated. And they get all the details, and then they handle the contracts for me. So that's super helpful. And then creatively wise, it's all me, which is good.
Well, like everything else, I think there are pros and cons, but it sounds like you appreciate the autonomy a whole lot more, and because then you are protecting your quote-unquote brand, which is yourself.
Yes. And I feel like nobody understands me more than myself.
Yes.
And for example, before, when I wanted to do that first Taiwanese cover, the agency was kind of like, are you sure? Why would you want to do that? Are you sure though? Because it seems like a lot more work than it's worth. You've never sung before on your channel in the last 5 years. Why would you do that? And then afterwards they realized, oh, okay. So sometimes they don't understand. Nobody will understand until you get that thought and that idea out there.
Because it's your vision. Yes. And it's because it's your vision.
That's all the time we have for this week. If you aspire to become a social media creator, be sure to tune in next week and get to know what advice Tristan has for you. This is Ching and Cho
and Mary Ann Shoko.
See you guys next week. Bye.